Next, please welcome to the stage Her Excellency Mariam bint Mohammed Almheiri, the United Arab Emirates Minister of Climate Change and Environment, and U.S. Department of Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack, for a conversation on a food-secure future with FP's Andrew Sollinger.
Lots of hellos. Thank you for joining us. Minister, Your Excellency, thank you so much for being with us. Secretary Vilsack, great to be with you again. I had the honor of speaking with Her Excellency and the Secretary at the Aim for Climate Summit in Washington this past May. What a fantastic event. It was massive with lots of interesting projects announced. And for those of you who are not in the know, you should be, but let me refresh you. AIM is the Agriculture Innovation Mission for Climate, founded in the maws of COP26 in Glasgow a couple of years back. You have so far mobilized, if I have this right, $13 billion in climate-smart agriculture projects and food systems innovations, launched 51 private sector-led innovation sprints, formed a historic climate-smart agriculture coalition with over 500 partners. How did you do this?
Shall I start?
Minister, please.
Okay. First of all, let me say it's always a pleasure to be here with my partner, Secretary Vilsack. We've come a long way. And if we think about it 2 years ago when we first started thinking about this, and I remember Secretary Vilsack thinking, what does a small country like the UAE, who imports most of its food, want to do with Aim for Climate? And of course, what got us together was the innovation part. So both of us very much rely on innovation. We very much believe in partnership. And that's how this whole thing started. So coming together with Secretary Vilsack and, of course, his team and my team working endlessly on this, we are where we are today. And believe me, and I told Secretary Vilsack this, I think Aim for Climate has really catalyzed where we are with food systems in the climate agenda. I think if it wasn't for Aim for Climate, we would not be where we are today, that there's a food systems agenda for COP28, that COP28 has recognized that food systems transformation should be a priority sector in the COP28 presidency agenda. And so I really want to thank you, Secretary Vilsack, and your team for all that we've done and how far we've come.
Secretary Vilsack.
Well, you've just seen why we've been able to expand Aim for Climate. The minister has been an extraordinary leader in terms of making sure that countries, large and small, understand that we are in this together. I think it's fair to say that whether you are a country that imports or a country that exports, at the end of the day, climate has a profound impact on your ability to produce food. And there's no question that we, as an industry, confront the need to innovate our way to a day where we can adapt and mitigate to a changing climate. I'm excited about COP28 because of the minister's leadership. At COP26, I remember we were at a dinner, and agriculture was considered sort of, well, we were eating at the kids' table. I think about back in the day when my kids were growing up, there was a kids' table and an adult table. And agriculture was always at the kids' table at these COP meetings. Always, always, always. We heard about construction. We heard about utilities. We heard about all the big industries. But agriculture was sort of an afterthought. With the minister's leadership, COP28 is going to be the first, in my view, the first COP where we'll be eating at the adult table, which I think is important because I think people do not realize that agriculture has the opportunity to get to a net zero future faster than any other industry. If you think about how you sequester carbon or where you sequester it naturally, you have to have soil, you have to have trees, you have to have an ocean. And the reality is many, many farms across the country and around the world essentially have two of the three, right? So I think agriculture and aquaculture now gets us all three. So it's a tremendous opportunity for us, and we're really looking forward to COP28. So thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
I'm curious that's a fantastic story, and congratulations on your partnership. What are some top-level learnings of this big undertaking? Lots of big undertakings are announced all the time. And we talked about the two of you and the drive, very kind of the Secretary to credit you, Minister. What are your learnings from this, just in terms of the uptake? We've talked about a variety of different things over the years, trying to make agriculture technology cool.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that, and you're succeeding at that. I'm just kind of curious what this means to you, just from a learnings perspective and what's possible.
First of all, getting to know so many people from around the world who believe in food systems transformation and understand how important it is for us to make sure we keep 1.5 degrees Celsius alive. Second, and this was also in Washington, Secretary Vilsack and I, the innovations we saw was truly unbelievable to actually see there are so many innovations there. We just need to scale them up and make sure they get to the right places. I think that was for me also an eye-opener, that such partnership can actually create those kind of platforms where we have lessons learned, where we look at innovations that we never thought would be possible. Because when I look at my own country, we're a water-scarce country, we don't have less than 5% arable land, and actually being able to grow some food items sustainably is all about innovations. And every country has its own resources, every country has its own capabilities, has its own challenges. And so to be able to share and say, you know what, we've got this innovation here, we've got this seed that works here. And this is, for me, the true essence of what Aim for Climate is all about. And of course, getting the partners on board, getting them excited, and knowing that COP28 is coming up in just 71 days now. I don't think food has been this far before a COP as it is now. So when I was in Rome, I actually announced, so I'm very pleased that I am the food lead at the COP28 team. Just to make sure that, again, we have food systems and agriculture on center stage. And we're looking at even small things to what kind of food we will be serving at COP28 and making sure it's as low carbon footprint as possible. This is like mind changing when you think of the caterers, the chefs, the cafes, the restaurants that will be there at COP28. How can they think differently into what food they will be delivering so that we can keep that momentum going? And as I also said, the innovations are key. Innovations in processes, innovations in food loss and food waste, innovations in us in our everyday lifestyles as well. I mean, Secretary Vilsack and I, some of the innovations we saw were really mind-blowing. We'll come to that later. But I just want to say that I think Aim for Climate was really the catalyst that has brought us to where we are today on food systems on the climate agenda.
Congratulations. I would love to, and your passion just comes right through.
Thank you.
Even though we've all had lunch here already before we started, of course, for our food event, what is on the menu at COP? And I mean that both figuratively and literally. What are some of the plans that you have in place at the big table where food will take center stage and agriculture will take center stage?
So I'm going to keep that a surprise of what we're actually going to be serving. You guys have to all come to be able to experience that. But let me speak a little bit about the food systems agenda. I did announce this in Rome and the UN Food Systems +2 Summit. And the food systems agenda for the COP28 is basically 4 pillars. And this was in consultation with all of you over the past few months. What do we need that we can say we have a clear, let's say, Paris moment for food systems and agriculture? Most of you said we need an agenda and we need political will. And these are the 2 things that make the essence of the COP28 food systems and agriculture agenda. Number 1, it's galvanizing national leadership. I've actually sent out to all ministers of ag, I hope you received it, Secretary Vilsack, the Emirates Declaration on Food Systems, Agriculture and Climate Action. It's a 2-pager of saying we as a country are committed to food systems transformation. We're going to make sure it's part of our NDCs. We're going to make sure it's part of the national biodiversity strategy. We're going to make sure it's part of our national adaptation plans because we are fully committed to this cause. The second pillar is about non-state actors. As you know, we've got the smallholder farmers, the producers, the food processors, academia. So all have to be involved in this. And then we've got the innovation side, and this is where Aim for Climate is one of the key tools that can really catalyze this. And we've proven it with all the technologies that we see today. Then the fourth one is about scaling up finance. And of course, this is one that everyone's trying to crack. I mean, the COP28 agenda has the big trying to fix the climate finance agenda. But in the COP28 food systems agenda, we're looking at how we can unlock from the private sector more money into food systems projects, and especially get them there to where they should be. So that's, in a nutshell, the food systems agenda.
That's a delicious menu. So you have
Yes.
the agenda. How about the political will? Where does that come from?
Yes,
That piece? How do you build that?
so the political will, I sent it to the ministers of Ag. I've given them a deadline, 27th of September, to write back to me, let me know what their comments are, and then hopefully the first week of October, I plan that our president sends it out to all heads of states around the world to get their buy-in for this declaration. And I hope we have all that before COP28, so we can say this many countries are committed to food systems and ag.
Is this deadline on the calendar, Secretary?
Well, not only is it on the calendar, but we actually are already doing this in the United States. We have the Climate Smart Agriculture Commodity Partnership Initiative, where we have 141 projects. We are paying farmers and incenting farmers to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions and sequester carbon, incenting them to do so, de-risking the practices. It's all major commodities. Every state of the country is involved. Every production method is involved. Small-scale farming, large-scale farming engaged in this. So we're already there. And we are promoting local and regional food systems to reduce the mileage that food travels. We have a renewable energy aspect of this. We've got a bioproduct, waste to bioproduct initiative that also will help our farmers get to net zero by 2050. So we are there. I have received and read.
There we go. We've got proof that's already arrived.
Read the declaration, and again, it's a reflection of the fact that we're now serious about food and agriculture and seeing it as a significant aspect of this. You know, we want everybody to know what we're doing in the United States, and so we launched at the summit the International Climate Hub, where we're basically going to take the information from what we learned from our Climate Smart Partnership initiatives, and we're going to share it with the world. Because the reality is this is not a situation where one country or one commodity has the answer. We really need to share and collaborate across country boundaries. We're also, as a result of Aim for Climate, we owe everyone a report on how we're doing and the results that we're seeing. I learned today that, you know, you can get a written report that gets filed and maybe read, maybe not. But apparently we're very much into videos these days. Okay.
Yes, I understand that you have a new medium you're going to be.
So we're going to make it easy for people. We're going to be able to allow you to watch and learn. And so we're launching today a video series that's going to enable our 51 innovation sprint partners to be able to showcase the results that they are obtaining from their projects. And I think you're going to be interested in seeing IBM. I think is the first video that's getting launched today. So excited about that. The video series. It really is going to show the innovation. It's going to show the impact and what we are learning. And I think what we also need to understand and appreciate is, as important as innovation is, there's already indigenous knowledge out there that maybe sometimes going back in time and looking at what used to happen on farms and ranches around the world, we can learn something as well and potentially reincorporate that back into the way we think about agriculture.
So, of course, love to hear about these innovations. Can't wait for the videos. Really looking forward to the videos, but would love to hear an update. I know, Minister, you are generally an encyclopedic trove of some of these projects. I believe at Aim for Climate, Agrospace was the winner on the day I was there, which is a very interesting Latin American startup. I'm just curious if there's an update on them, maybe to describe that or other projects that you've been monitoring that you think are great Shark Tank-like examples of Aim for Climate success.
So I'm going to talk about 7 areas where there's a lot of innovations happening. So it's improving and delivering weather and climate forecasts, climate resilient social protection schemes, training farmers in on-farm rainwater harvesting, alternative proteins, microbial fertilizer, so this includes also algae, innovators to reduce livestock methane emissions. And I have to say, I was in the Africa Climate Summit last week, and I applaud Africa and Kenya for actually hosting the first Africa Climate Summit. And for me, it was really, it touched my heart to see some of these farmers and how connected they are with their livestock, and that we really have to be careful that anything we do here, we need to think of the just, and we need to make sure that these smallholder farmers are actually still getting an income, because when you remove the livestock from them, you remove their income, you remove their livelihoods. So it's really important that we make sure that any innovations we come up with, that there is accessible of funds that is affordable to them, and that they can do this transition as well and make sure that they still get an income and they can still fill their stomachs as well. And then, of course, there's a lot happening on the digital ag space. We also had the Food Tech Challenge 2.0 in the UAE. We had 4 finalists, or 4 winners, I'll call them. One of them is about clean tech soil improvers. So they use food waste to actually enhance their soil so that the crops need less water. A Sustainable Planet are doing plant-based proteins on non-arable land. Reveltech, they have a unique patent-pending freezing technology to keep cells alive. And then Orbisk, AI imagery to basically leverage on automation to quantify food waste in professional kitchens. So really widespread, a lot happening, and I know there's a lot more information, but I know because of time, can't go into all the details.
Some good videos in there, Secretary.
Yeah, speaking of a lot more innovations, we need folks to understand there's a deadline for submitting the next iteration of innovation sprints, September 29th. It's also the deadline for new government partnerships. We have 53 countries that are now participating in Aim for Climate. We want to make sure that additional partners get their willingness to join with us prior to September 29th.
Let's talk a little bit about those partnerships and how others can get involved and help you. Aim for Climate is largely funded by governments, but there's other types of partners in there as well, in addition to these startups that can help participate, nonprofits, businesses. What can we do to help with this effort as COP28 approaches?
Well, I think this meeting here today lifts up the significance of Aim for Climate, lifts up the fact that it's grown and expanded. When we started 2 years ago, if you had told the minister, maybe she thought this was going to happen. I will say I didn't know that we would have over 500 partners. We were hopeful that we would have 50 or 60 partners. Now, 500 partners indicates to me that there's genuine interest. Each of those partners has the capacity and capability of contributing something. We should get beyond that $13 billion number. And frankly, a lot of it ought to be coming from the private sector, from foundations that understand and appreciate the opportunity that agriculture and food has for making a meaningful difference. As I said earlier, I think this is the industry that can get to net zero before any of the other major industries if we have a committed effort.
And it's a big emitter. Minister, is it money? Is that really the key thing?
No, for me, I think Aim for Climate is really for partners, by partners. I think that's the key line here. And I think what's so beautiful is that even the innovation sprints are actually made by the partners. So they said, we want to focus on this technology or on this track. And I think this is what makes Aim for Climate so incredible. It's about passionate people who really want to do something and course correct what we're doing on the food system side.
It's also about acceleration. It's great to have new technology, but we've got to make sure that it transfers into the field and gets to the farmer in a way that the farmer, large or small, can use.
Outstanding. So it goes without saying, congratulations again. It's interesting to see the two of you have come together successfully in this way, and to see you interact actually even as we're coming out on stage, what you've been able to do together. It's really heartening considering what's happening in the world. There's a lot of positive vibes, but achievements that are taking place as a result of that. And you should both be very proud of that.
Thank you.
Well, if we could clone her, we would. There isn't a problem we couldn't solve.
Exactly.
Well, I wanted to thank you both for making the time. I know you're
Thank
super
you.
busy. We really appreciate your coming over here and joining us at our food summit. Thank you so
I
much.
hope to see you all at COP28.
See you at COP28. We'll
Thank
find out what the
you.
menu is.
Thank you so much. Thank you.